Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak and Ramadan Kareem. Welcome to a special edition of Let's Talk during Ramadans. Now, in this episode, we will discuss how we can make Ramadan a fun and interesting month for the youth. And especially, we will take a look at how the youth want to make this month a fun and interesting month. So let's start off as usual by letting our guests introduce themselves. Assalamu alaikum, brother. If I can get your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
Wa alaikum salam. My name is Bilal Abdullah. I'm from the United States, and I currently live in Egypt.
We're in the United States.
Indiana.
Indiana, and what are you doing here in Egypt?
Well, I'm married to an Egyptian. I'm living and studying and working.
Nice. And how do you like Egypt compared to the U.S.?
It's interesting living in another country. Of course, there are some things that are difficult for you to get past, but once you learn how to assimilate and acclimate to the new society, it becomes easier for you.
Well, we're glad to have you on the show. Once again, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
Brother, if I can get your name, where you're from, a little bit about yourself, and I want to welcome you to the show. So go ahead.
My name is Omar Kahil. I'm originally a Canadian Egyptian. I live here mainly due to my family. My family moved here from Canada quite a few years ago. So I go to DLH, Darul Luqman International School, and I'm in 10th grade.
You're in 10th grade. All right, Omar, welcome to the show. If I can go over to this side, brother, if I can get your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
I'm Ahmed Salim. I'm from Egypt. I'm in DLH International School. I'm in 10th grade, 16 years old. And
are you guys classmates, you and Omar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We are. And I'm an SET student. That's
yeah. All right, Ahmed, welcome to the show.
Thank
you. If I can get your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
My name is Ahmed Nasser. I'm from Egypt, and I go to DLH International School.
Also?
Yeah,
okay.
And I'm in 10th grade. I'm their classmate.
You're there. Okay,
yeah.
So all three of you guys are in the same class.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. This is going to be an interesting program. So let me start off with asking you guys, why do you look forward to Ramadan? Why is Ramadan a special month compared to the other months in the year? Why do you look forward to Ramadan?
Well, I guess that Ramadan is the month for worshiping, everything. You pray, fasting, and we do so much worships.
Well, I'm sure as somebody young as you, you're not looking forward to it just for worship. Maybe you have school off. What else is there?
No, we don't have. No, actually, for Ramadan, I stop everything. No TV. Well, I make the internet less, and it's for worship. Big thawab, everything. Worship.
Okay. And you, why do you look forward to Ramadan?
Actually, usually we pray 5 times a day, no sunnah or no nafil or anything. So in Ramadan, usually you're concentrating on worshiping Allah, that you start praying sunnah, so that and before, cause you prepare for Ramadan, before Ramadan, like a month, and then you worship Allah more in Ramadan. So you continue you're worshiping Allah because you like what you were doing in Ramadan. So it gives you a push to worship Allah more during the whole year. So yeah.
Okay. One thing you said was that you prepare for Ramadan about a month before. What are some ways that you prepare for Ramadan?
You eat less. You start behaving a little.
Okay. Start listening to your parents more.
Yeah. You start getting yourself in the mood of Ramadan. Worshiping Allah more, getting used to nafil, to pray more sunnah.
Okay, so you start gradually increasing your worship.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you? What are some ways in which you prepare for Ramadan?
We can start fasting and praying more in the masjid or mosque.
During Sha'ban?
Yep. So you can get used to it if you're not. And you can read more Quran so that you can finish the Quran in Ramadan more than one time. And what else? I guess that's it.
That's it?
Just
okay.
Start fasting, that's it.
Okay,
sure.
If I can come over to this side, I'm going to ask you, Brother Bilal, why do you look forward to Ramadan? What's so special about it?
Well, for me, as I said before, I'm a father and a family man, and I'm not in high school anymore, long gone. But Ramadan is a time to become closer to Allah, and also by that, become closer to your family and spending more quality time with them, sharing the meals with them. And from my perspective as a father and as a husband, it's a time to increase the good interaction between me and my wife, and also to teach my children a lesson. I have one son, he's 10, and I have a daughter, she's a new baby, but I'm hoping that this is, for us four now, it'll be something that'll draw us closer together.
Okay, and the brothers on this side, they were explaining about how they prepare for Ramadan from about a month before. Is there anything special you do to prepare for Ramadan?
In regards to preparation, one thing that I do is I eat less food. I try to control my daily intake. And also as a family man and responsible for the duties of the household of purchasing the food, also sometimes preparing the food, I buy foods that are good to eat in abundance before Ramadan. For some people, they like to eat beans before the starting of the fast. For me, I like oatmeal. Different things that are good during that time, different foods that release energy throughout the body through the day to help you to withstand maybe the summer heats or the rigors of fasting and staying away from food.
Okay. Omar, if I can ask you, do you look forward to Ramadan, and why?
Well, yes, I actually do look forward to Ramadan. It's a special month. It has a special place in my heart. First of all, because it gets me closer to my family, to all my family members, to my relatives, which normally I don't see because I don't have time during the normal school days, etc. Second of all, because I go last year I went to I'tikaf. It was my first time, but it was actually a really great experience, which I'm trying to plan for this year. Also during Ramadan, normally I'm a gamer. I play a lot of games. But during Ramadan, I try to reduce games instead of increasing it. I try to memorize more Quran, and I try to read the Quran more than 3 times during the whole month, at least. And I also try to reduce the amount of food I eat. That's basically that's some of the things I do to prepare for it.
Okay. And is there any activities that go on in your masjid that you look forward to at the same time, or?
Well, before Ramadan, every year we make bags for people who can't afford to buy food during Ramadan. We make bags of beans, macaroni, rice, all that stuff they need to cook during the month. So I actually look forward to that. We're going to be doing that, inshallah, in a few weeks. I go meet my friends during Taraweeh, and I try to pray most of the prayers during the day in the masjid.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Dear viewers, I want to ask you a question now. Do you look forward to Ramadan, and why? So I want you to ask yourselves if you look forward to Ramadan, and if you're parents, I want you to ask your kids, do they look forward to Ramadan, and why do they look forward to Ramadan? And if they don't look forward to Ramadan, you need to fix that. You need to find a solution, make Ramadan interesting, have some activities. If your local masjid doesn't hold any activities or any festivals during the month of Ramadan, then you can take the initiative and create those activities in the masjid to attract the youth towards the masjid, especially during Ramadan, actually. Which leads me to my next question. How do you think the local mosques or the institutions around you can make Ramadan more interesting for young people like you?
Well, they can start doing more activities. They gather the youth.
We know what Umar wants. He wants video games in the mosque.
Yeah, we can do that too. And we also can make the food for the people for iftar. They can ask the youth to come help them making the food.
So you'd like to go to the masjid and have a big iftar with everybody, all the locals?
Yep, you can gather all the families, all your community, and we can go. We have iftar together. We have more relationship with each other. We will know others more. And we have new friends, new families. Yes, it's going to be fun.
What else activities can you tell me, Ahmed?
Actually, they can focus on outdoor activities, challenges between young kids and stuff. they can motivate young kids to worship Allah, or even teens like us. They can motivate people to worship Allah by making prizes. You know, for example, if you read the Quran 3 or 4 times, or if you if you finish it more than 1 time in Ramadan, you get a prize. Yeah. So actually, when I went to Atikaf last year, there was some stuff like this that motivated us to worship Allah more. So
Is there something you'd like to share with us from your itikaf last year?
yeah, actually the ones who finished the Holy Quran more than 1 time, they had a prize. They gave us money. So yeah, we ready to worship Allah, but yeah, we wanted the money.
It's good to have
so
prizes. It encourages, especially the youth, to try to achieve those goals.
yeah.
Okay. If I can move that question to you guys, how do you think, especially you as a father, Bilal, how do you think you can create an environment in the masjid, especially during the month of Ramadan, that can attract youngsters from all around the neighborhood to come to the masjid, to be attached to the masjid, to try to reach their potential during the month of Ramadan?
That's a very interesting question, and being that I live in a predominantly Muslim country today, but also come from a country that's predominantly not Muslim, I see...
just a quick question, have you spent Ramadan here yet?
Yes.
Okay, so you can tell us a different, you can compare it for us, because I haven't spent Ramadan in Egypt yet.
In Western countries like America or Canada, the masjid is more of a community center.
Yes.
Because you have many Muslim families. They don't, I mean, if you live in America and you're Muslim, you won't go to a neighborhood, you won't find a Muslim neighborhood. You'll just find that Muslims live wherever they are. So this creates in people a bigger sense of community. And so when they do go to a masjid, the masjid may be a mile away, 2 miles away from your home. So it becomes that once you go to that masjid, it's more a sense of, wow, I don't actually see a masjid a lot. And so when you go there, it's like you're seeing old friends that you only see once in a while. And a sense of community within the masjid occurs. The masjid itself takes a more community feel, and the organization of the masjid is more like a small business model. You have the president of the masjid and the finance committee and the dawah committee and so on and so forth. And so people in a Western country are more motivated to do more things for that masjid. So you find in Western countries there are a lot of activities now there. But in a Muslim country where there's a masjid, the next door is a masjid. It's really just a place to pray. And so that brings an interesting dynamic where I'm trying to find out now, well, because it's not really a community type thing. As I see here, it's people are conducting more of their activities in their home, where they may go to the masjid and pray, and they come home, and then the family has something that they do together. So I guess maybe like in a country like Egypt or Morocco or whatever, it's really, the onus is really more upon the fathers or the heads of the household to create that sense of community and unity and family and sense of purpose. So obviously that's my job in my home, so now I have to, figure out more interesting ways for my son to feel more involved. And I think one thing that we can do is that we can give more to the poor, visit those who are sick, maybe help pick up trash in your community, do things that are more helpful to your neighborhood overall. Being nice to neighbors, being respectable, showing them the good character of a Muslim, and also to not just focus on doing these activities in Ramadan, but do those activities after Ramadan. Because for me, I see Ramadan as my checklist month to figure out, okay, I've had a whole year without Ramadan. What is wrong with me? How did I improve from last year? And how can I improve for this next year? So I see it as a gut check chance to see how can I improve myself and also foster that sense of improvement in others.
Okay. Omar, if I can ask you, how can we make Ramadan more fun for the youth? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I have spent Ramadan here in Egypt, in Canada, and the United States.
Okay.
And there's actually a huge difference between Ramadan in the United States and Canada than here. First of all, in the United States...
Which place did you like better?
Well, actually, I liked it in the United States the most.
Of course, the U.S.
Well, the main reason was because when I was in the masjid, I felt like I was in one big family. Not just different people from just coming here to pray and leave. during Ramadan we used to have etikaf, and we had a robotics program during etikaf inside the masjid. So we were worshiping Allah, we were learning new things, and that program eventually led to us going into the national robotics competition, the FLL, in the United States.
That's interesting.
So, but here it's quite different, because here I have a sense of people being individuals rather than a community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they do chat a little bit after prayer time. They do eat together. They do,
Some
but
shy.
it's just not. It's not the sense of a family. And the problem is here in Egypt that kids take Ramadan as a time to watch TV. Well, not only kids. Most people here in Egypt take Ramadan as a time to watch TV, to just not do anything, just sit on the couch
Play
all day.
video games.
Yeah. And waste their time, which is not something I think they should do, which is a really negative thing to do. The positive thing is to just use it as a month to get closer to the Muslim community, to worship Allah not only as an individual, just go out and worship Allah with other people. Go during Taraweeh and just go and read Quran as a group, etc.
What else? Continue. Go ahead.
Well, but the main idea is that to use Ramadan as a time of worship and a time to gain, to get closer to Allah. Not just to leave the world, disconnect yourself, and just watch TV, eat food, or just go out at night and just walk in the streets, shopping and stuff. Well, and a really negative thing I see here in Egypt is that people use Ramadan as a shopping season, not as a month of worship.
That's quite of an analysis for a 10th grader.
Yes, it is. Very insightful.
Yes, very insightful. I'd just like to comment on some of the things you said. The sense of community that you mentioned that's in the West it goes back to a point that Brother Bilal mentioned there, which is the Muslim community in the West is the masjid. So it serves as a community center at the same time, whereas here a masjid is a room where you can pray. That's all it is here. And in certain aspects they need to change it so they can attract younger kids towards the masjid, and I think it's very important for the masjids, especially in Muslim countries, Muslim majority countries, to hold activities, and obviously non-Muslim majority countries at the same time, to hold activities for the youth, whether it be games, whatever it be, even if the child is not coming to the mosque to pray. And the reason behind that is because at least he's coming to the mosque. Hear something. He might pray 2 rak'ahs. He might sit for the speech the Imam gives in the middle of the Taraweeh. Something we have in the US is between the Taraweeh, sometimes after 4, sometimes after 8, the Imam gives a small talk about 5 minutes. Do you guys have something similar
Yes,
here?
same here.
Yeah, okay. So he might be able to listen to this, even though he only came to the masjid just to play. But the fact that it attracted him to the masjid and he might hear something good, this might change something in him. And it's better than him sitting at home watching movies, like you said, playing video games, or doing anything that's just wasting his time completely. What I want you guys to do, I want you guys to watch a video and give me your thoughts on it, because I asked you guys about how do you prepare for Ramadan. So we're going to play a little video. I want you guys to take a look at it and let me see your thoughts and let me hear your thoughts on it. So if we can play the video, so stay tuned.
What?
What are you doing?
I'm taking an FC.
Okay.
Okay, what are you doing?
I'm reading Quran.
Seriously, bro, we're still in the summer. Ramadan's yet to come.
Just because it's not Ramadan doesn't mean I can't read Quran.
Oh, true.
Yup.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan is known as the month of the Quran. However, it feels as if during the other 11 months, the Quran is somehow forgotten.
You don't want to look like this guy.
Oh, my Quran! I've not seen this since Ramadan! Or this guy.
Bro, what are you talking about? Of course I have a Quran. Let me just check. 1 second, hold on. This box or this box. Ooh, maybe this chest.
Or this guy. Psh, bro, what you talking about? Of course I read Quran. Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr. I'm a pro at Surah Fatiha. As you can see, it's important to establish a relationship with the Quran before Ramadan begins. There are a lot of ways to accomplish that, but we're just going to go over 2 of them that you can start implementing from now.
Try making the Quran part of your daily life, even if it's reading a few verses a day. And remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves consistent deeds, even if they're small.
It's kind of easy nowadays to get access to a Quran. You don't necessarily have to carry a Quran with you everywhere. If you have a phone, an iPhone, an Android, even a BlackBerry, just download an app to start reading Quran with. Huh. Bro, what are you doing?
I'm downloading the Quran app.
Oh, okay. Carry on then.
Try making the habit of reading the Quran a more exciting and social activity.
Involve your friends, family, MSA members, masjid dudes, enemies. Try to get them involved with the Quran. Like this family. Oh my god, that's so cute. Between you and me, we come up with a lot of excuses for not reading Quran. Most of them are actually kind of weak. If we want to establish a relationship with the Quran, it's time we start rolling them up and throwing them away.
I'm sorry, I was just throwing an excuse.
Kind of like that. One of the more common excuses is, I just don't have the time to read Quran.
But bro, I'm really busy. I don't have enough time.
True, that might be the case, but ask yourself this. Which book do you open more? Facebook or Allah's book?
Another common excuse, which is pretty valid, is the language barrier. But we should always try to find solutions to our problems.
You can always find a translation of the Quran, or perhaps an easier route would be listening to some Quran. You will definitely find someone that appeases to you, whether it's a soothing, slow recitation of Shaykh Abdul Basit to the more melodious tones of Sa'ad al-Ghamidi.
And always remember what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran.
وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I hope you guys enjoyed that beneficial, short, funny video. Now, I want to ask you guys, what were your thoughts on that video? You mentioned some good points there.
Yep, they said that we can be more social with Quran, we can make challenges with your family members, brothers, siblings, anyone, and your relatives. You can say, okay, we can make 3 or 4 times, we can read the Quran 3 or 4 times, we'll see who can read it more than others. And we can also start preparing for reading Quran so that we can be ready in Ramadan and not be lazy on Ramadan and say, I'll read tomorrow, I'll read after tomorrow, I'll read next hour. You have to start from now, from this time, because when you read now, you will be at the beginning you'll be a little lazy, but when Ramadan comes, you'll be so good at it, and you read every day and every time you're free. And also, so what did he say again?
You mentioned a couple of facts. You mentioned, okay, if you're not, some people who have a language barrier and they can't read Arabic maybe, can read the translation of the Quran, and if that's still hard for them, then they can listen to Quran. Who's your favorite reciter?
Shuraim, Sheikh Abdul Shuraim.
Shuraim?
Yep.
Okay, and you?
I don't have a favorite reciter actually. I don't usually listen to Quran. I prefer reading it because, you know.
You prefer reading it?
Yeah.
Okay, and in the video, what points did you find interesting?
Actually, the part where they said that you should concentrate on consistent deeds, even if they're small. Actually, the best way to prepare for Ramadan, or actually to make the Holy Quran your partner, is to read every day, at least a page. Start with half a page every day, but make it consistent. After a week, you'll like it more. You'll love Quran. You want to read a page, and then you'll want to read 2 pages. So yeah, you
start with something small, but keep it consistent. That's a very good point. If I can ask you guys, what points did you like from the video?
Well, me personally, I like consistency. I think consistency is the most important thing. I think a problem that many people have is that they say, okay, here's Ramadan, so I want to do these 1, 2, or 3 things during this month. Then the month is over, and they don't do it again.
Drop it.
Right, and then they have to go back, and the next year comes, and they go back to it again. Well, Ramadan isn't about, I worship Allah just in that month. Don't be a Ramadan Muslim. That if you learn how to cultivate certain good behaviors and characteristics in yourself, keep that going on during the month and also after it, to build yourself as a better human being and as a Muslim. So yeah, consistency.
And Ramadan, it's supposed to be a spiritual boost. It's supposed to give you, if you're dying out spiritually during the year, as soon as Ramadan comes, it's supposed to hype you up, give you that boost to survive you the rest of the year. So actions that you start in Ramadan, you should be consistent throughout the year with those actions. It's a very good point.
Exactly.
Omar, if I can ask you, what interesting points did you take away from that video?
Well, one point that gets me back to the idea of the community in the mosque was the idea of challenges. So back in Atikaf, we used to do Quran challenges to see who would recite the Quran more. Some people recited it 20, 30, others recited it around 60, 70 times.
60, 70?
Yes. Well, it was a big challenge, but it was actually a big moral and spiritual boost, which actually encouraged some people to keep on reciting it during the year, so that next year they would be better. So they could recite it, instead of 20 times, they could recite it 30. Instead of 5 times, they could recite it 10. Well, on a small scale, they would read a page, 2 pages a day. Other people would read around. Other people would read a chapter a day. Other people would read 2 chapters. Well, depending on how much they want to improve, and how much they are, and how big their goal is.
Something interesting that they have in most of the mosques in the U.S. is the youth itikaf night. In the last 10 days, they select a certain day, maybe the 23rd night or the 25th night, specifically for the youth. And the whole community, they send all their children to the masjid to do a youth sleepover itikaf night, and their speeches throughout the night from young adults. There's speeches, one speech from the imam, but generally it's more of a conversation. Everybody's engaging in the conversation at the same time. I don't know if you guys have something similar to this in Egypt here. Do you guys?
We have at Cafe.
No, but for the youth. This is specifically...
No, it's for everybody, not only youth. But I guess that when it's everybody, it's good. You can have other youth with you, friends and stuff. It's okay. We don't mind it. And with the youth, we do challenges. We talk. We have speeches, and we do the iftar thing. We have so much activities too.
And what I find interesting about this program is that not only does it give the youth a chance to communicate with each other and be close to the masjid, it also gives their parents some time away from their children. They can focus on their own worship, especially during a 23rd, a 25th, and odd night during the last 10 days, which is very important. Before we continue this conversation any further, we're going to go for a short break, so stay tuned.
Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, dear viewers of Huda TV, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Kareem Abu Zaid. You know me, I know you, mashallah. We've been there together. Alhamdulillah, we're blessed this year to be part of one of the best shows actually in Ramadan on Huda TV. It's called Ramadan Spirit. You know that show airs from different parts of the world. And finally, Huda TV considered America, and that's where I am right now. So guess what? 2 days out of the week, we will be airing Ramadan Spirit from Denver, Colorado. I will be presenting, inshallah, and sometimes a guest. But I do have to my right.
My name is Hamza Popa. I'll be co-presenting Ramadan America.
Adil Minhas. Inshallah, we'll be coming to you live, inshallah, at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. That would be Eastern Standard Time, what time?
11 a.m.
11 a.m. Now, for you to find out what time exactly, you have to check your local time zone. Look for us in Ramadan on Thursdays and Fridays, Ramadan Spirit coming all the way from the United States of America.
Welcome back to Let's Talk. Now, before we went for that short break, we were discussing different ways in which we can create lovely programs for the youth, and in different ways in which we can attract the youth towards the masjid, especially during the month of Ramadan. Now, coming back from the break, we want to speak about something else. What I want to ask you guys now is, since it's the beginning of Ramadan, if we start going all out in our worship and start reading Quran after every single prayer and praying so many nawafil prayers, by the end of the first week you'll be burned out. In the second week of Ramadan you won't be able to do any more worships. How can we create a balance, a steady balance during the month of Ramadan, a consistency? You can start us off, Brother Bilal.
I would say start off small. Pace yourself. It's very easy in the beginning to become extremely excited. Oh, it's the month of Ramadan, so I'm just going to do everything in the first 2 days. Yes, and you will burn out because you need that balance between, especially if you live in the West, like in America or in Canada, your day is going to be exactly the same, working, school, everything.
Yeah, of course.
So you have to, it's a must to start off small, create a balance, see at what level you are comfortable in regards to extra prayers, how much Quran you are reading, so on and so forth, and focus off small and work your way up.
Okay, that's a very good way. Omar, if I can get your thoughts on it, how can we create this balance, this steady worship during the month of Ramadan? Obviously it can increase towards the end, but you don't want to burn out before the end. You don't want to burn out the second week or the middle of Ramadan. Go ahead.
So first of all, motivation is basic. So in all types of motivation, you're really motivated at the beginning, but then you just burn out if you just put your all into it at the beginning. So during a race, you try to start out fast, but you don't want to burn out yourself at the beginning so that you're tired and you can't continue. You wanna start out fast, keep on increasing till the end, and when you're at the final mile, final 100 meters, you just want to give it your all. So in Ramadan, you just don't want to go out and say, oh, I'm going to start out, I'm going to finish the whole Quran in 1 day.
Of course.
At the beginning, it's humanly possible, but you're going to burn yourself out. So you should just start out reading, well, let's say 2 chapters, 3 chapters, if you're really motivated. Then later on you just keep on increasing so that your pace grows, but you just don't want to increase from 3 to like 9 chapters. You want to increase gradually. You want to increase it slow and steady. So and also if you want to give it a constant, if you want to keep on moving at a constant rate, it's okay, as long as you're challenging yourself.
Of course. I like the comparison you made between the month of Ramadan and a race, that towards the end you need to give it your all, you need that sprint. In the same way, during Ramadan, you keep a steady pace the whole month, and towards the last 10 days, you give it that sprint, you give it that go. If I can go to you guys, Ahmed, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess we can start with the slow and make smooth, just like normal days. If you start from Shaban, like you're starting one chapter or something, you can start the first 10 days, one chapter, then second 10 days, 2 chapters or 3. Then in the last 10 days, you need to rush. You need to take it all. You do everything. Like we have to finish it like twice in the last 10 days. We have to finish Quran in the last 10 days. But actually, it's not for all the worshipping. You can't do that, because if you are praying Tarawih, you can't do the beginning. You can't pray less. No, you have to do all that for the 30 days. You pray like the same, and especially in the last 10 days, you have to pray Tahajjud too, all night. Or most of the night, you have to pray and make your time more for Allah and worshipping. So I guess it's not for all the worshippings that you can make it like slow at the beginning and then so much as that.
And I think it depends on the person at the same time. Some people can handle a lot more, and some people can't handle that amount other people can during the month. What do you think, Ahmed? How do you think you can keep a steady pace during Ramadan?
Actually, I think that, when we talked about how the mosques could motivate the young kids to recite the Holy Quran by giving them prizes, well, you can motivate yourself by balancing your worshipping to Allah by setting a prize for yourself. So actually, it would give you motivation to complete what you the goal you set for yourself. So you'll want to finish it, and of course you'll have to start with a slow pace, because not everyone can handle reading 5 or 6 chapters at the beginning, because you'll get bored actually. As teens, we get bored. We want to play. We want to do some other stuff. So and it will help a lot to set a prize, and it will help more to have a friend who motivates you. That's
I think another very good way to keep a balance and not burn yourself out is don't cut out everything that you used to do before. So if you used to play all day before, set half an hour or 1 hour of your day to take a break, play with your friends, go outside, go for a walk, do something that you used to do before Ramadan to keep that balance during Ramadan. So if, for example, if you used to use the internet for 10 hours a day before Ramadan, then during Ramadan, bring it down to half an hour or something small that you still have a peace of mind. You don't just jump into no internet at all, no playing at all, no doing anything but sitting with a mushaf in front of you at all. You need to keep that balance. So during Ramadan, especially because now we're in the beginning of Ramadan, that we don't die out towards the middle, towards the 3rd week. We can last all the way to the end of Ramadan enjoying it. Now the next thing I want to ask you guys is, obviously we do different types of worship during Ramadan. We try to increase the amount of Quran we read. We try to increase the amount of charity we give. We try to increase the amount of prayers we pray. What I want to ask you is, what are some obstacles that somebody can face when trying to increase their worships, or when trying to even establish a stable worship throughout the month of Ramadan?
Well, I think one thing, the biggest obstacle is ourself, the person that we see in the mirror. We have to remember that we carry a certain kind of attitude and character. And one thing about the month of Ramadan is that you're supposed to improve that character, the way you act, the way you speak to people, how you interact with others and deal with others. And you should be, it's not just about we pray and we read Quran, we don't eat and we don't drink, but also we become better human beings in how we act and how we treat others. And sometimes that may be difficult because maybe if we're dealing with other people and maybe someone may want to argue with you, and maybe before Ramadan you may argue back with them. But now it's Ramadan and you're a little bit more God conscious. So how do you deal with someone? Maybe this person, they pushed you or knocked something out of your hand. How do you act in regards to that in the month of Ramadan? As you should through every month of the year, but especially during this blessed month. And so one obstacle you will face is how do you control your own behavior and attitude? And I think you have to pace yourself. I think you have to remember the sunnah in regards to what to do when you become angry, in regards to making wudu, praying, sitting down, laying down. Remember to be conscious of Allah in all times and situations. It's also a time to be better towards your parents, whether you're 36 years old like me or maybe 15 or 16 like these young guys here. I think that's the gist of it.
Okay, Omar, what do you think?
Well, as he said, well, first of all, your biggest enemy is yourself. So when you're in Ramadan and you just try to cut out TV completely, it's you're gonna be like, are you nuts? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You live all year with TV. You keep the TV on all day. You just don't do anything. Even if you're studying, you study in front of the TV. But then you just suddenly one day you wake up in the morning and you just turn off the TV and put it away.
I see where you're going with this. He's going to tell his parents, I play video games all year long. Can't completely cut it off now, Still have to put a balance there. Go on, Omar.
Well, fortunately, my parents don't allow us TV time, so we just use the TV for a console. But that gives me more time to do other things, especially during Ramadan. During Ramadan, last Ramadan, I actually started reading books.
Okay.
So, and that ended up that I'm now a book addict. I move everywhere with a book, especially, when I came here, I have a book with me. Okay. So, and that also gives me more time for worship. So, at night, people most of the time just, after fasting, they just eat breakfast or eat dinner. And then they just go and watch TV. That's a typical Egyptian family here. And they could go and pray Isha or pray Taraweeh. But most people just stay home and watch TV. Well, the idea is you want to limit yourself. You want to cut it. Well, you want to cut it out completely, but you can't. It's not humanly possible. It's just like a drug. Drug addicts, when they're trying to stop drugs completely, they don't just once and go stop it.
It's gradually.
Yes. So you want to gradually, before Ramadan, well, if you watch TV 10 hours a day, well, lower it. In a week, just lower it to 9, then 8, then 7. Gradually till you reach, if you can reach 0 hours, that would be great. But to be logical, you can just lower it to an hour or 2. And mainly, you want to focus on increasing your your worshipness, or your worshiping act before Ramadan. So you pray. Well, you want to pray the Sunnah of Isha before Ramadan, and then you just gradually increase. So that when you're in Ramadan, you start out, you don't burn yourself out by just starting doing all these things once, suddenly. You practiced it before, you're used to it now, and it's normal for you.
Okay. Now that we're coming towards the end of the episode, I want to thank you guys that you came out here during Ramadan and gave us a wonderful program, gave the viewers wonderful thoughts and ideas that you shared here today. Once again, brothers, I want to thank you guys for coming out here. Dear viewers, I want to thank you for tuning in to a Ramadan special edition of Let's Talk. I hope you guys are having a blessed Ramadan, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Ramadan. Tune in again next week for another episode of Let's Talk during Ramadan. Now, I want to remind you of something that the Prophet ﷺ told us. There will be people who will try to ruin your fast, make you try to backbite other people, make you try to curse during your fast, make you try to do things that are not permissible during your fast. Whenever you come across somebody who is trying to ruin your fast, remind yourself and remind him that you are fasting. If you can't remind him, if you can't tell him, brother, I am fasting, or sister, I am fasting, I don't want to do this, I don't want to argue with you, I don't want to backbite somebody, then at least remind yourself and remove yourself from that company. And leaving that piece of advice from the Prophet ﷺ with you, I want to tell you, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all, and until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.